Okay, guys, let's take a look at a task sheet C309. Um, this is performing a starter current draw test and determine necessary action. So what we're going to look at is we're trying to obtain how many amps draw the starter is pulling when we engage the starter. This is a direct test of how the health of the starter. If the starter's dragging, maybe we may even have mechanical problems with the engine if it's pulling more amperage than it should. We know by this test we can tell. These amp meters that I'm using, guys, are a little dated. The modern ones we'll use, they work on the same principle like I was talking about yesterday, is the magnetic field that is built around the wire as current flows through it affects this meter. This particular one I've got on here is different than the one that we use for our charging system output test. This one has a 300 to 600 amp, it goes to 600 amp scale. So, and again, depending upon which way the current flows, which way the meter goes, the needle moves on the meter. We'll see what it does with this large scale. I'm not so sure this is accurate. I know I've played this test just a little bit before I did this video, and I had the other meter on there. I think it pegs it at 100 amp. We can't see that. So I thought we'd try this one. Maybe we can determine where we're getting to with this one a little better. Looked up the specifications. It says research the specifications and procedures for doing the starter system output test or starter system test. List the starter current draw specs. The specification for this particular vehicle, 2001 Ford Escape, this is my old Bomber Escape I drive to work all the time, is 130 to 190 amps. This is the specifications. It didn't list a voltage. I'm going to put in our task sheet we need to fill out, we need to check this, watch this voltage of our battery. If our battery drops below that 9.6 number, we have some issues there. I've not done this test yet, so I don't really know what our results is going to be by looking at the meter. Last time I messed with it, my meter times out too. If you guys get a meter, you'll find out they one of the things is there's a battery saver in it. It times out and shuts itself off. This one has a backlight feature, so we can see it's lit up. We can read it pretty good. I turned some lights off here in the shop so that we don't have much glare on the amp gauge itself. And we can see that a little bit more. Let me just show you just a second here. This is the other amp meter. This is the one from that goes just to 100 amps to get out of the glare. I was messing with this a little bit before it did. It would peg this gauge for just a little bit and then it drops down. So we want to make sure we get the scale that we can read. There's nothing too special about this. This is just got a little bracket on the back. You lay the cable in the bracket. It picks up that magnetic field and reads your output here and gives you a amperage reading for how many amps draw there is on the cable. We can also do this. I've used this for actually checking glow plugs on diesels to see if they're glowing. If we have all, I know some of the little Volkswagens I messed with, we had all 4 glow plugs working. We knew our amperage was up a little bit. So if it was down, then we knew some of the glow plugs weren't working on that. So down here at the bottom side of our sheet, it says conduct the starter draw test. What was the current draw in the first second or two? And what was the final current draw after 3 or 4 seconds? And then one of the other things we have to do is watch the lowest voltage during the test. So this is going to work really good since I'm videotaping it. Or not videotaping, there's no tape involved, right? It's all silicone chips. There's no videotape. Since I'm videoing making a video of this, we'll have a record of it. We'll be able to stop and watch it. And that's what we'll end up doing. And I'll play that through to you tomorrow when we do these in class online. So let's see what it does. Again, I disconnected the fuel pump relay, which I probably really didn't need to do. I've got the ignition switch off. No fuel there. All I'm going to do is jumper the starter wire. I'm going to watch it a little bit, let it crank. I know by watching the screen on the computer that I can see a high amp draw to begin with. If I'm not happy with that, we'll change meters and we'll read it again. We'll see what we get. So let's watch the voltage, let's watch our amperage, see what we get out of it here. Okay. All right. Now I didn't have a chance to see that very good. I'm going to change the gauge and put my other gauge on it. We're going to do that test again. Then we'll go through the video and talk about what our results are there. As you notice, to begin with, we got a big load to start out with, then it eases up. Because once we get the engine turning, there's not as much load on the starter, not as much load to crank it. So let's take a look and see what we get here now. This is only this maximum is 100 amp scale. We'll probably peg it. I'm pretty sure we will by that. And then we'll take a look again. Watch the voltage, and we'll see what we get here. Yeah, I put her over, pegged it hard to begin with. So we'll take a look, run through it again, talk about it, and we'll get our numbers for our task sheet there on that one. Good little test there to tell the health of our starter. All right, good.